Today's going to be a good one. We are diving deep into Project Dawn here. I've got some polish, some buffing wheels, and we are going to slick up this action, make it glide like it was on rails. It's going to really improve the functionality of this gun, make it a smoother shooter, keep it cleaner for longer. Then I'm also going to polish up a lot of the trigger contact points and get some of the creep and grit out of this trigger. Let's get started. First thing I want to do is slick up this receiver a bit in the bolt interface here. You can see how this is a rather sharp transition. So I'm actually going to radius off the bottom of this bolt. Every contact point is going to get polished. You can see this shelf on the receiver that one side of the bolt rides on. The other side of the bolt actually rides on the magazine. So we're going to polish up that shelf. We're going to polish up that section of the bolt. We're going to polish up this rail here that rides on the magazine. I'm going to polish the top of the receiver, and I'm going to polish the guide rod. I'm also going to polish the top of the charging handle. That's going to really make this thing feel like it's riding on glass. On the face of this bolt, I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to polish up the front face of this extractor. It's going to let it glide over the rim a little bit easier. And then these bearing surfaces, I'll pull it out like this and get all that cleaned up and polished. Make this thing glide nice and smooth. These are the top sections of the bolt that will get polished. Again, we'll polish here, and then on these rails as well. We're going to go radius this off right now. So again, this is the bottom rear end of the bolt. I'm just going to, without removing much material at all, we're just going to smooth out and polish this section where the hammer rides on. This is a 240 grip belt. Going nice and slow to keep any sort of heat down. Nice and even, and now we have a much smoother transition for that hammer to ride on. Swapped out the belt to a 1000 grit belt. Very high grit. I'm going to hit all the bearing surfaces on this now. Clear up a little bit of this chatter. Polish off what I just removed. Top rails, this section where the hammer rides. know the platen on my grinder is 100% flat, so I know that you'd have to take off quite a bit of material to get off all of these milling marks. I'm going conservative at first, just because I want to err on the side of less is more when removing material, but you can see how this transition is so much smoother here. The hammer's going to have a nice time gliding right over that. Polish up this side, polish up the two top rails, the bottom rail here. That's all good. Now it is time for the Dremel. Very light and easy here. Don't need a lot to get this to a nice mirror polish. And finally, this extractor. You probably should pull it out for this, but I'm just gonna hit it while it's in here. Very gently. Oh yeah, you can get right over the top of that thing and smooth it all out. This polish is water soluble, so make sure you rinse this thing off really well before you put it back in the gun, oil it back up. But it is going to function so much better now. Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Done with the bolt for now. Next on the project list is the recoil spring and the charging handle. We're going to go back to the grinder, polish up this top bearing surface here, and then this has a lot of resistance. You can just feel, you can almost hear it too. So we're going to completely polish up all of these surfaces Well, we can't get on the inside of this, unfortunately, inside the charging handle, but we can scrape off the paint from this rod here, the guide rod, and we can polish up that section right there. I also just had an idea how to get the inside of this charging handle smooth. I'm actually going to put a little bit of this polish on the guide rod and then slip it over. We'll twist it. I'm actually going to attach this to the drill and twist this while there is polish on the inside, and that should polish the inside of the charging handle. Don't want to go too crazy. That should be nice. Got the spring gently pinned in the soft jaws, and we are going to make sure we get all the paint off this guide rod. This still needs to be cleaned up, but you can see just how much smoother that is than what it was prior. Still a lot of gunk and polish I need to remove from this one, but that is so much nicer. I've got roughly 2,000 rounds through this rifle, and you can see that the inside of the receiver is starting to wear in naturally. My goal right now is to remove all of this very coarse paint and polish this top section. And then this rail is the other section where the bolt rides on. We're going to polish the top of that. And then I'll also come in and just for helping with the magazine extract, I'm going to remove all the paint here and polish up that section as well. Here's this section all polished up. I just wiped the polish off. There is no lube on this right now. And the feel of this is like, it's like skating on ice. I mean, that is so nice. This is going to be great. The last section to polish is the inside of this rail right here. Here's the shelf. I'm going to come in from this side of the Dremel, being very careful not to mar up the outside. Now that we've got that shelf for the bolt nice and smooth, the other half that it rides on is actually this feed lip here on the magazine. So we're going to give this section here the same treatment as the rest. To keep this magazine mostly clean, I've just taken some paper, jammed it in there. That'll keep any big debris from getting in there. I'll probably still need to take this apart and give it a thorough cleaning after I'm done with this. Last but not least, little feed ramp for the magazine catch here. There's also a feed ramp on the magazine itself. You can go ahead and give that a little hit, a little love here. Doesn't want to focus on me. But that feed ramp is nice and shiny now. So here's the trigger assembly. And right now it's still just the stock trigger. You've got a somewhat heavy pre-travel here. You kind of hit a bit of a wall. Kind of get some squish. And then it breaks. We're going to help clean that up a good bit today. It's heavy too. So here's the trigger pack all disconnected. Here we have the hammer. Here is the disconnector. We are going to radius off the top of this hammer, polish up the face of it. That's going to help it glide on the bottom of that bolt that we worked on. And then I'm not going to remove any material from the sear here. It's just going to get a nice polish with the Dremel. We'll see where that gets us. If I like it, I'll leave it. If I feel like it needs more attention, I will go from there. And again, on this disconnector, I'm going to polish the sear engagement area as well. Some people have said that you can polish the inside of where the spring runs to smoothen up this area. I'm not going to go that route. I'll give it a nice cleaning, but I don't think that it really needs a polish. I've done that before, and I didn't get a noticeable difference like you do from polishing up the sear faces. So, off to the grinder. I'm using the belt sander in here, the belt grinder, a lot. If you don't have this, a sandpaper and a flat surface will work all the same. This just goes a lot faster. I really don't want to round the edges of this sear at all. I'm not really looking to remove any material. I'm going to polish up this section and then the actual cliff here. For right now, the last thing I'm going to do in here is mill off this little pointy mountain, and that is going to give me an auto bolt release. Last thing on my list today is actually to polish up this trigger return plunger. I'm just going to take off all the paint on this, get it nice and smooth. I'm going to actually round off this transition here just a little bit with the Dremel, and that is going to smooth out the trigger pull a good bit. My trigger plunger, nice and shiny. Now if I wanted, I could come into the trigger pack here, pull out the plunger spring, cut off a couple coils, and stretch it out. That would lighten up your trigger pull a little bit. The reason I'm not going to do that is because one of the failures I was actually experiencing with this gun, and it is only a few times, but the trigger wasn't actually being pushed forward by this plunger. So I don't want to, as of yet, reduce the tension here, just in case that this polish job isn't quite enough to remedy that issue. I don't want to further increase my chances of failure. So right now, trigger spring in that the trigger plunger spring is going to stay stock. That's it for now. If you notice, nothing was extreme. I didn't want to take off a whole lot of material. I'm just polishing all the contact surfaces. This is going to really slick up the action. My next step is to go inside and make sure all this polish is removed from every single nook and cranny, and I'll meet you guys back on the range. I've got Dawn reassembled. It stopped raining. I'm excited to see how this gun is going to shoot because the action on this is so light. I mean, with my pinky, it's just no resistance. It feels like a whole new gun. Oh. That is nice. That is so much better than it was. Okay. Action. Super slick. How's the trigger? Let's see. Okay. Way cleaner. It's still a heavy trigger. I didn't take a really crappy trigger and transform it into a match grade trigger. However, it is markedly better. So much better. There's no grit. It's just a smoother pull. It's predictable. A lot of that has to do with the plunger. Even without the trigger tripping off, this section right here is worlds cleaner than it was before. Before that was gritty and nasty, and I actually was experiencing some failures for this trigger to reset because that was so gritty. And now I guarantee I'm not going to have any of those problems going forward because it is smooth. Let's put some rounds down right before it starts raining again. Yeah, that's nice. Way nicer. Yeah. Yeah, so smooth. Awesome. That was a very easy job. We are all done with the action and the trigger on this gun for now. It is a much more enjoyable gun to shoot. It is so smooth. It just makes you happy. It's easy to shoot fast. It's easy to shoot accurately. Awesome, easy modifications to do. Next up, we take this ugly little gun and we make it look a lot better. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.